Hi everyone. There's still a few people left to join, so I'll be starting probably in about 5 minutes time, just to let you know. If everybody who's in the group so far, I think there's about 7 or 8 people so far, if you can let me know if the audio is good, just in the comment section, please. Thank you. Hi everyone. We're going to kick off now. First of all, thanks for everybody for taking the time to join our webinar. I know everybody's quite busy. For those of you who don't know, I'm Ciaran Cronin. I'm an account manager here at IMGS, and with me is Ciaran Kirk, who's our general manager, and I also have Connor Dunne, who's one of our ETL engineers. So I'm going to hand over to Ciaran, who's going to bring us through the first set of slides.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, and welcome today to our first webinar on Talend, which is IMGS's new data integration partner. So IMGS, for those who don't know, we have been a Hexagon and Safe software partner for a number of years, and now we're a Talend Gold partner. And Talend are a market leader in the data integration and reporting field. So what we see today is that there are top challenges for companies who want to become data driven. The first challenge is that they need to be able to handle real-time data. So if you're not able to seize opportunity or stop threats as the core, you need to be able to move to this. So data does not move fast enough in your organization. Using a day-old or week-old information to make decisions is not the way to go. Organizations need to be agile. It's difficult now to make changes to IT systems and slow to implement business requests. If IT systems are rigid and are not flexible, then you're not going to be able to evolve as quickly as you want. And also in productivity for data-driven organizations want to be productive. As their business scales, they don't want the IT to be holding them back and not able to keep up. So there is challenges in ramping up big data skill sets. And this is one of the big areas of why we're working with Talend is we see the need for the movement towards big data sets, movement towards the cloud, and being able to take advantage of all the capabilities both big data and the cloud provide you with. And also a big issue for a lot of organizations is connectivity, that you get a lot of data trapped in silos that can't be used for reporting, which can't be used for analysis, and you have to be able to unlock that data so that you can take advantage of it and actually get a return on investment on the money you spent in creating the data and in implementing those systems. So Talend's mission is to enable the data-driven enterprise of the future, to make organizations data agile, so that when they are doing analytics, when they are doing things like preventative maintenance, where they're trying to respond fast to the customer needs, they have to be data agile, they have to be data-driven across the enterprise. And to do that, you need an integrated enterprise. So why did we choose Talend? Well, Talend are a market leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for data integration. So we talked to a number of our customers, we talked to organizations that some of our team have worked with before, and every time we had these conversations, Talend came out as the best solution when it comes to data integration. And that is also recognized by Gartner, who show Talend in the upper quadrant, up there with the IBMs and the Informaticas. But the difference is they are the first new leader in that quadrant in 5 years. Actually, that's the 2016 sheet. The 2017 one was released last month. And again, Talend are still in that top quadrant. And it's amazing for a company that's got less than 1 billion in revenue to actually be in that organization. So technology stack wise, they're an innovative company, new company, relatively new, but have a solution that compares well with the big players, but costs an awful lot less, which is great in today's market. So what is the Talend solution? Well, Talend have what's called the Data Fabric, which is a modern cloud and big data integration platform. So they have a number of components. The first is the basic data integration tools. So before you do anything, it's the ability to move the products across the data integration, being able to integrate the platforms together. Then we also have the big data integration. So with the movements towards the data lake, sorry, my screen keeps moving on, the movements towards the data lakes, movement towards big data sources like Hadoop, like moving towards NoSQL databases, we need the ability to actually integrate with these platforms, and we can do that as well. Talend also provides application integration, and a big area for a lot of organizations now, as they try to address the data management platform, is to be able to have a master data management system, being able to understand all your data, to have one true source for all your master data. And Talend has that, so it allows you to build data quality, allows you to build a view of your master data and have one true source, which is then very useful for data warehousing, for analytics and all that as well. And because Talend are a leader in the cloud area, they integrate with the cloud platforms, and I'll talk about that after the demonstration, how that they integrate with Google, with Amazon, with Microsoft Cloud, but also that they can run their integration platform as a service in the cloud itself. So that all can be hosted in the cloud and you don't have to run it on premise, which works really well if your systems are in the cloud. And then what we're going to concentrate on today is data preparation. Data preparation is where the business users can actually take the data before it goes to analytics and run it through data prep so that they can clean up the data and tidy it up before it actually goes to the analytical tools, and do that in a self-service method. Again, before, with legacy ways of integration, that would have had to be done at the IT level, running the integration scripts. Now, with the data preparation tool, you can move that out to the organization and let the business users actually do their own data preparation. And that's what Connor's going to show here today. Now, eventually I can move on to that slide. Sorry, that slide kept moving on here, but it's just one of these things in PowerPoint. So you can see with Talend, they have 1,500 plus customers who are blue chip customers in every vertical, from financial services, working with Visa, to IT and services with Capgemini, to manufacturing with GE and Siemens, to utilities, National Grid, United Utilities there in the UK, there beside us, to retail, IKEA, technology, Lenovo and Salesforce, and then to travel and transportation, Air France and Deutsche Post. So already, even though it's a pretty young company, a lot of blue chip customers who are using the Talend solutions to become data driven, to gain value out of their data. Some of the examples of this and some of the areas where you can use this data integration to drive initiatives. For example, GE, who are a very big power generation company in the States and all worldwide, have used predictive maintenance with Talend to actually save 1% on their asset management costs. So now, when you're talking about millions and millions of cost of asset management spend, 1% is a massive saving. So they were able to predict when their assets were going to need replacement, as opposed to working on a planned maintenance program where you replace every 4 years or every 5 years, which is now currently an inefficient way. So I've worked with utilities a lot over the years, and we're now seeing that they've less money. They need to decide when to replace assets at the right time and not just replace them because it's 5 years old. Need to take into account the condition of the asset, need to do the analysis to figure out how long the asset can remain safe, when does it need to be fixed, what can they do with it. So again, being able to integrate all your information to make these kind of decisions is where Talend comes in really well. Auto, which is an online retail store, they use Talend to do retail optimization. So again, to understand their customers' needs, to be able to be predictive, and actually when you're online and you're buying something, to provide the information to help you make your decision. So again, to know what your customer likes, to know what his preferences likes. So for argument's sake, if Garrett here was into Android devices, that when he's buying an Android watch, that they'll offer him the new deck thing for integrating it with keyboard, because they know he likes to spend money. So this is the kind of predictive analysis that now we can do, prescriptive analysis, so that we understand that they understand the customer and then can do the analytics to drive what they're doing. And again, Talend has been used for precision agriculture, again, bringing all this big data together, bringing sensor information together to make decisions, to then figure out what parts of the crop need fertilizer, what parts of the crops need to be sprayed or for infestation, and what parts need to be harvested. And again, another area where sensor integration has come in has been the M2O city. So this whole smart city idea, being able to connect to the sensors around the city, traffic sensors, water sensors, and then being able to make decisions based on real-time information. A big area of being data agile, as I've mentioned already, is being able to respond in real time. So taking all this big data, all this information, and being able to make decisions as it happened, not making a decision 2, 3, or 4 days after the fact. So the Talend Data Management Platform itself, some of the features we see, the first core product is the GUI for doing the basic data integration. So yeah, it's just coming up on the screen. So across the data management platform, we have the ability to design the solution. So on the desktop ETL solution, Talend Data Studio, it has a visual drag and drop interface where you have over 900 built-in connectors. So pretty much the ability to connect to any data set that you can think. So it's not just cloud and big data. Talend comes with connections to SQL, connections to MySQL, connections to Oracle, so connections to flat files. You name it, cloud systems like Salesforce, you name it, it can connect to those kind of data sets. But the big power of Talend Data Studio is it doesn't create the integration in proprietary code. It exports that integration, generates that code in either Java or SQL, or again for the big data platforms into native Hadoop and Spark languages, so they can run very fast on those platforms. So it's not you're building your code to run natively and run fast on the environment. So again, very, very powerful feature of Talend Data Studio. For DevOps these days, what you also will see is that there'll be more than one person building these integrations. So having the ability to create multiple integration workflows, to being able to version it so that you have a new version which then goes into production, maybe at first went into pre-production and test, to being able to branch off different versions of the integration, so that the system, so as the organization has been agile and changing their integration flow lines, they can do it easily and actually store that in a shared repository where people can use and access the existing integrations in a controlled manner, all done through log on and roles. Sorry, on that one. The cleansing, so Talend Data Planning Platform allows you to data profile, so to analyze your Freudian slip, to analyze your data, to profile it, see how good the data is, how bad it is. Connor will show some of this in the data preparation, so he'll be able to show how you can easily show the data quality, and then build rules to cleanse the data, to enrich it, and even to do some matching. So if you need to bring two data sources together, match them up together and create a single true view of the world of the data. Again, all driven through the integration tools, and all can be documented and pushed back to the organization. Once you build your integrations, if you are looking at large-scale enterprise integrations, you may have to have scheduling, you may have to have monitoring to make sure that they're running correctly, and you possibly also need version controls. So again, you know which versions are running in production, which versions are running in test, and all that's done through the administration solution. And the solution is well able to run at scale, so it can be run at cluster level. We can build in load balancing and failover, and you can do code optimization to ensure it's running fast. So here's the Talend Studio, which is the graphic interface. So again, very like anybody who's using an ETL tool will see the similarities. You have your left to right flow lines, you have your ability to transform data, you have your lookups to make changes. But the key thing here is the graphical assistant that has the ability to have jobs and a designer, and it has a lot of components to make these integrations work. But it creates that code, it generates that Java and SQL code, and it's just, instead of, and someone might say, well, why not write the code natively in Java or SQL? Well, using something like Talend Data Studio, it increases your productivity by 30% compared to hand coding. And also they can build in the integration logic and testing, and it encourages reusability, because if someone writes code, the other engineer may not be able to understand their code or may not follow the logic. By using a graphic interface like this, anybody can then follow how it's being developed and the integration itself. As I said, it enables team collaboration. So if you've got multiple integration flow lines, we can do versioning, we can do data lineage to show how it comes together. We also have the shared repository and a metadata manager to show all the jobs, all the routines, what they were doing, what data they're using. And this again increases reusability, ensures clear communication across the teams, and then means there's less duplicate work through better visibility of projects and jobs. As we mentioned already, Talend Data Studio is easy to manage and troubleshoot. There is an administration console or center, which is a web-based interface where you can configure and manage and assign users and revoke privileges, and then manage the configuration and the deployment of jobs. The monitoring is both Eclipse and web-based, and it provides a centralized view for messages, warnings, and errors, and then it gives you the ability to schedule and provide logs and all that kind of the good stuff. So this means that once you build your integrations at the desktop level through the studio, you can publish them out to the enterprise. The IT guys can manage that, they can maintain that, and if anything happens, they're able to track back to where it occurred. I mentioned already Talend Data Quality, which allows you to actually look at your data and profile it, so you can measure and track the level of quality. And you see some of the kind of reporting we have here. You can cleanse the data to remove inconsistencies. Again, we can do matching to find duplicates, and we can establish data stewards. And also you can enrich data by leverage commercial and freely available reference data. And again, Connor's going to show that, an example of that with the data preparation tool. And again, we can do the monitoring, there's data quality firewall. So once you build your integrations, it's important that you prevent the users from continuing to create bad user data. So by having a data quality firewall, if there's data being created, you can actually look at that and then recommend back to system X or system Y, well, actually, guys, you're continuing to create bad data here. We need to improve that, change the process, or change the source system. And also we can then govern the data, so you can make sure you're involving your business users. You can make sure that, you know, data is protected, that it's only being used by certain areas. And of course, this is very important these days with the advent of GDPR next year, which are the new data standards, where we need to make sure that data isn't allowed to be available across the organization to everybody. If there's private information, that it's masked, that the authorization for who gets access to that is all controlled, and Talend fits nicely there. As we mentioned, one of the big strengths of Talend is Talend Big Data. So we're able to have big data integration, so we can land data into a big data cluster, again without coding. So it can generate native code for MapReduce, HBase, Pig, MongoDB. Also allows you to manipulate this big data at source. So again, you don't have to bring data out of your Hadoop data store and put into a SQL database. You can actually do the manipulations on the source. And again, like with all things Talend, it allows you to build that data quality and governance, allows you to have that project management on your integration jobs to ensure everything is done in a governed manner and it's not just a kind of free-for-all. And again, I mentioned it already, but the system is designed to scale, so we can have load balancing and failover. You can have virtual servers and combined systems. It runs in a high availability mode and can easily be scaled or deployed to the cloud. So this means that the IT or the organizations can then meet their service level agreements for pushing data out to the organization. On the data side itself, then there is a solution for master data management, which was developed to address the challenges of creating and managing master data, where data is hosted under various formats and groups. So by doing the master data management, we can group all master data in a standardized central hub. There is a master data management web application, which allows you to view the state of your data, where it is, the quality, and the master data repository. So this is very important for organizations who would have multiple silos of the information, but really want to say, okay, I want a single view of my customer, or I want a single view of an asset, or I want a single view of a supplier. But that supplier or customer or asset could be stored in multiple systems. So how do you bring that together? How do you define what is the master record? What is whose customer name is the correct one? Is it the one in the financial system, or is it the one in the CRM? So again, by building a master data management, you can define these rules, define how data is defined, and then come up with that single view of your data, which is critical if you're going to start doing analytics, if you're going to start doing reporting. To do these kind of things, you need a single view of the data. You need the correct true source. Having 2 versions or 3 versions or more, I've seen it in utilities, I've seen it in local government, all the information, then you can't make use of it. So that's where master data management comes in. The metadata manager is also very important, from maybe even prior to your master data management step to actually going out and analyzing the data in your organization. And with the metadata manager in Talend, it actually has the tools to automatically create bridges to your systems, then analyze what type of data is there, and then that can be documented and modeled in the metadata manager. So the metadata manager doesn't actually store any data, it's data about data. And that again is very important for standards, very important for things like GDPR, so that you can prove you understand where your data is and how it's been used. Now we're coming on to the point of today's webinar, which is to talk about that Talend data preparation. So once you have your data and you're giving it to the business user who wants to do his report or wants to do his analytic, what you want to be able to then is let them clean the data in some cases, let them tidy it up and get it ready for the report without having to change the back office integration. So giving them a tool that means they can do self-service data cleansing, and you're then empowering the business to making bit faster decisions, because they don't have to go back every time they need to make a change to the data that's coming out. And that's where Talend data preparation comes in. So with this Talend data preparation, it gives you self-service data without putting the data at risk, because the business user then can get the data which is published through the data flow from the Talend Data Studio. it's then deployed as a data service and exposed in the data preparation solution. So now the information worker or the data scientist or the analyst has a sanctioned copy of the data which they can then work on. They can prep, they can hide or clean data, they can enhance the data without having to go back to the IT developer. But one of the powerful elements of Talend is if that data scientist or data analyst creates some good cleanup routines that actually the IT guy goes, well, really, I should be doing that at source. He can then take that data preparation recipe, without having to reinvent it or redo it, he can publish it back to the IT, to the ETL job in Talend Studio and run it at source, so that next time when data comes through, it'll take advantage of all the rules that the business analyst, the data analyst has created. And that's where Talend really has, I think, a niche offering. This ability to allow self-service from the business users and then allow them to actually publish that back, those recipes back to the IT, so that they can then apply them if they want, or apply partly of them, or other users can use those recipes when they are running their reporting and their analytics. So I'm going to and actually that does also brings us on to the final component of the Talend data suite, which is the data stewardship. So again, yes, with the data prep, we can tidy up data, we can apply rules, but actually at some point, somebody might turn around and say, listen guys, we need to sort out the source data. So what we're going to do is run a campaign to clean up this data. And again, that can be done using a similar solution to data preparation, where the user can fix the data in the campaign and then apply that data back to source. While the data preparation allows you just to run it locally or run it on the data set, with data stewardship, you can then publish your cleanup routine back to the source data and update it at the source. So with no further ado, I'm going to hand over to Connor, who's going to bring you through the data preparation solution. Thanks, Connor.
Thanks, Ciaran. Hi guys, I'm Connor here. I'm the ETL engineer here at IMGS, and I'm going to take you quickly through Talend data preparation. So I suppose just to give you a little background into what data preparation is. It's really aimed at the business user and the frontline user who understands the data best. They're going to know how to actually handle this data, how to process it, because they're working this data from day to day. Traditionally, the IT guy is doing this job, all this cleanup tasks, but he doesn't know what that data is, why they should be doing that way. Or we're actually given the power to use. So this is called self-service data analytics. It's given the power to the frontline user who understands the data best. So what we're looking at here now is the preparation window. So what a preparation is really just a list of all the tasks that we do to cleanse our data. So we'll see inside the preparation window, we build a number of tasks. They're called recipes. And we build up these recipes, and these are the steps we take to cleanse that data. And how we get data sets into our preparation is via our data sets tab. And if we look here, we can see our Excel and CSV files. So these are just local files. But we can also add data sets from your databases. We can also add data sets from the cloud, and we can also add data sets from Hadoop file distribution systems. So you can really import a various amount of data from loads of different sources. So let's go and start and create a data preparation. So I'm going to add preparation. I'm going to go through all data sets, and I'm going to work on my customer marketing leads data. So I'll click on the CSV. I can change the name, so I'll just add demo onto the end, and I'm going to confirm. Okay, what we have here now is the data preparation window. So what you might notice, it's very like an Excel spreadsheet. So like I said, you don't need to be the IT data engineer to be able to cleanse your data. Basically, if you have a simple understanding of how Excel spreadsheets work, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to get through this data. And we look through this window here, we can see this is what our data is contained. We can view all the different rows, all the different columns. And we also have a list of our functions over here. And we have a load of different functions to choose from. And they're all very self-explanatory in what they do. So to find the right function, very easy to do. And we have a cool little data visualization chart here, which kind of gives us a look at all the chart values, how our data is looking overall. We get a number of values for our statistics, like our mean, our min, our max, all those kind of nice values. We can do a little pattern analysis, so we kind of see what the patterns look like in the data. And some advanced charts are in there as well. So we're looking at a box plot, just seeing how spread out our data is. Let's turn back to the chart. So without further ado, I'm going to start on my first data cleansing task. So I'm going to click on the name column here, and we're going to give this a title case. So look at here, for example, in Walter on row 4. This guy here, he is all caps lock, but I want a title case. So I want my first letter to be uppercase and the rest to be lowercase. So if I want to change this, I'm going to type in function to change, click on this, and I want to change this to title case. So you notice here when I scroll over my data, we can see this is going to give me a preview. So you can see Walter in column 4 start to yellow color. We can see this changed to a title case. So we've gone from having all uppercase, and now we're going to change this. So I accept this change here. I can go further again. So we can look at Joshua here. So Joshua has 2 gray boxes. This tells us that this is it's a white space in our data. So we want to get rid of these because this can really affect some maybe of the lookups that we do later on. So if I want to remove white spaces again, I'm going to type into my functions. I'm going to go to remove, and I want to remove trailing and leading characters. I'm going to put my padding character as white space. I can do something more generic, like I can go, maybe I want to get rid of all the A's from the data or anything like that. But we're going to stick with white space, and I'm going to accept this change. So we can see here very quickly that we've just nicely cleaned the data. You know, we know what we want to do with the data, so we're giving power to the user to do this. And we look here to the left, we actually have our recipe list. So every time I do a function and I hit a task, it's going to automatically save the preparation, the recipe that I use to cleanse my data. And we can do cool things, so we can just, you know, reorder this if I want to remove my trailing leading characters first, for example. I can delete this, or maybe I might even just decide to disable it from a point, so I can disable it there. It's all very quick and nice to use. So we also have a number of different semantic types to our email. So we look at job title here, for example. This is set to text, but you might notice all our other columns, maybe there is an email column that has semantic type set to email. We have last name set up. And what these are really describing the data, but describing at a higher level of detail. So we have a data dictionary in the background, which we can set up. So for example, if you wanted to set up a semantic type for county level, so we can give the data dictionary list of all the different counties, and we can actually use those semantic types to analyze our data, see is this accurate in terms of all the counties and so forth. So let's start with job title here, just set to text. I'm going to change this. I see job title over here. And yes, so job title is given 30%. So somewhere in the background we have in our data dictionary, job title is set up as a semantic type. So the reason it's gone 30%, okay, so it's gone through this list and said, okay, yeah, job title, I can see there's a number of different job titles here, but it's not that much. So I'm going to keep it as text automatically unless I'm at a certain threshold. But we know this data is job title, so I'm going to set it to that. We can do further cleansing tasks. So if I look across into my US state codes, so we have a data quality bar over here to the left, and I can see here there's a number of different color columns. So this is the Irish flag we're looking at here. This is actually the state of our data, what kind of quality it's set at. So for example, we have green here. So green tells us my data is good. So like I mentioned, we have semantic types. Look up, this is US state codes. So I have 910 values here that match our semantic type. This is all good data in here. We have a white column over here. This is all the empty white spaces. So we can see 83 empty values are here. And the orange tab lets us know these are 7 invalid values. So very quickly with data discovery here, lets you know how good your data is just from a very quick glance. So if I want to actually discover this data and go further into detail, I can select my invalid types, and I'm going to put a filter on just to select the rows for invalid. Okay, so now if we look at this data, we can see why it's invalid. So Texas here as an example. Texas is a valid state, but unfortunately it's not a valid US state code. Instead, what I want to see here is TX. So I can change this. I'm going to click on my text column, and I'm going to change this to TX. What's kind of cool about Talend is that actually I don't need to do this each individual row. I can actually apply this to all the cells with the value of Texas. So I'll click on this here and hit enter.
And that's great from the future recipe point of view, because then like the next time it comes through, if that source system is allowing Texas to be entered in every time, it'll remember that. It could be 100,000 hits, and automatically it'll apply them and clean them up without anybody getting involved, which is really pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. Yeah, because you know, you might notice with data a lot of time, you know, a lot of mistakes happen quite frequently. Yeah. So you know, you can say if you know this is happening, you go, okay, I want to fix this in the future. moving forward, and it's done automatically for you.
And particularly with address data in Ireland.
Exactly.
Everybody spells things differently, and
we know about that anyway. Yeah. So we can actually fix up the remaining values here, but instead, look, okay, there's nothing I can do with this data. I just don't want to have to deal with it. So I can actually click on my invalid columns, and I can delete the rows with invalid cell. So I can delete these. Now, what's important to note about the data preparation tool is I haven't actually deleted the source data. This is really just looking at the snapshot of data and applying recipes that we can use to change the recipe to an output, but we're not touching the source data. So, your data analyst on the field can't go along and just delete your data. You don't have to worry about that. It's just applying the recipes to the data moving forward.
Yeah, in this case, he doesn't want to run a report where he knows there's bad data, so he's going to clean that out of his report will be on the cleaned up data, and he's just going to report on what's good and then ignore what's bad. But that's his job to make the decision on what he excludes and what he doesn't exclude.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to remove my filter here at the top, so remove the invalid states. And we can see here with nice clean data, so I only have green and white. So I could go along and maybe remove all my empty values, but look, I'm going to leave them. I'm happy with them there for now. And we can even go even more advanced with our data discovery. So let's look at our lead score column. So we can see how our data quality bar looks good. And from a quick glance, I say, okay, yeah, this data looks okay to me. But if we take a look at our visualization chart over here, I can see, okay, something's not quite right. I don't like the look of this data. I have a small column over here, then I have one large column, and then all the way over here, I have a number of different values. So I can say, okay, what's going on? So if I click on my visualization chart over here, I can actually apply a filter. We can see quickly what's going on. So look here, we have 999 set for our lead score value. Now I'm the marketing guy in the field. I know, okay, my lead score should be rated between 0 and 100. 999 shouldn't be in there. Now from an IT perspective, I might see this and I go, oh, why is that 999? I don't know. But the guy in the field might know. He said, okay, I know the system defaults my null values to 999, but that's really going to screw up my data analysis over here. So what I can actually do is I can fill this with a different value instead. So I want to fill this with 0, for example. So let's find a function to fill. Put that in. If I can spell fill. And okay, so fill cells with value. So I'm going to click on this. And I'm just going to use with value, and I'm going to enter 0 into here.
Yeah, because he knows on a lead, the lead is between 0 and 100. If someone put in 999 as a bad lead,
that's it, exactly.
He's going to put it 0.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So if I take off my filter now, all these values, anything that was set to 999 is going to be set to 0 now instead. And if we look over here in a visualization chart, that's much nicer looking. We're going to get really a lot more information from this. Rather than having 3 columns, we have a load of different columns, so our data has become a lot richer. And that's just through a simple one-step process that's done this. We can go even further into this data, so we can look across and I can see, okay, I have a couple of minus values here. Like I said, this data should range between 0 and 100, but minus values aren't really good. So, I could get rid of these values, but again, I'm the guy in the field. I know, okay, yeah, sometimes this data comes across, I know it comes in at minus, but that's actually correct value. I just need it to be positive. So rather than delete the data, we can calculate the absolute value. So I actually have this value ready for me here, and I'm going to calculate my absolute value. It's not all my negatives become positive numbers. And we can see here, much nicer again. So we're really going to get some rich analysis from this, using 2 quick, simple steps over here. It's a very quick and easy process to go through. So it's really powerful.
And you can see as well that the business user, you'd be happy to make those kind of judgment calls. If it's a minus, I'm going to set it to 0 or 1. The IT guy doing the integration would say, no, I'm not going to make that call unless someone gives me a business rule and defines it to the nth degree. So it means he's now the agile. The business user can make these decisions because he understands his data, he understands what he's trying to achieve, and he doesn't have to spend a day in a workshop defining requirements to an IT guy to do that in the integration.
That's it. And given it going again further, we actually the business user who might not have the analytical skills to rediscover and cleanse data actually has very cool, quick data quality, data analysis tools there. So very quickly, I can use my quality bar to see if my data is bad. I can also use the visualization chart just to see what's going on with the data. So it's really powerful what the business user can use without using the IT guy.
Yeah.
And just to remind again that I haven't actually changed the source data. It's just the data that I want to get into a report, for example. So you don't have to be worried if you're a business user that you're not going to ruin your data at the source. So I suppose I've probably a couple of audience maybe here that are really interested in GDPR at the minute. It's come around the corner, and it's really going to change how we store and process our data. So we actually have tools with data preparation that can really kind of facilitate that. So for example, my email column over here, a list of emails, but this data I mightn't be able to make public. I mightn't be able to kind of put this data out. I need to protect it somehow. So I can actually use a masking tool for this. So if I type in my function, I type in mask, and I have mask data. Now what's really cool about Talend is with the semantic type, every function might behave differently towards the semantic type. So email here, for example, if we look at the preview, what's going on, all my data is X'd out, but when I hit a valid email domain, that's going to keep there. So I'm able to mask my data and protect the information there, but I also have to infer still some knowledge from it. So I'm not losing everything, but I'm still protecting that data. So that's actually quite cool and quite powerful what you can do. And you know, the guy in the field is going to, that's really going to be helpful to him.
And again, I think a lot of these tools we're using, the masking tools here, they're also available at the Talend Studio level. So again, there's no reason why the IT guy couldn't have done that when he was building the first level integration, but he may not have been asked for it. Or it may be that the business user is now going to give this data to not a third party, to an external body, and at that stage he has to make a decision and go, actually, I can't publish email, so I'm going to block it. Even though he was able, for some reports, he'd leave the email in, but then others he can actually say, no, block that off because it's now going to go to a body who shouldn't be able to see that. And that's key for GDPR.
That's vital for it, yeah, definitely. And you know, like I said, this can become a real productionized enterprise version. So like this is one guy make decision for you, and as Ciaran said, someone else may come along. That's where data stewardship actually comes into handy. So that's quite.
And that governance and rules, because again, you have authority for that recipe. You have authority to see that data set. Other users may not be able to see that data set. So that's all managed through the Talend Data Fabric.
That's it. Yeah. No, it's very powerful. So we'll go on again and we'll do some more cleansing tasks. So I want to actually fix up my dates. So you can see some of the dates here. They're not all uniform. They're not in line. This caused headaches for a lot of people. I know this is quite dates are a funny one, and they're actually a hard thing to process. But Talend Data Prep makes this really easy. So I want to change the date format here. So you can see if we go look through my functions, a load of functions to choose on, but I actually have date to specific functions. So we scroll down and I find dates, and I want to change my date format. So if I know what the format is, I can select it. I can define my own format, but say, look, I don't know what format that's in. I'm just going to go with a best guess. So we can go down further and we can set what our format's going to be. So if I just want to pick American Standard, I click on that and I can submit. So now we can see here all our data is in uniform. It's all in the same format. That just get rid of headaches, especially when you're doing analysis or any kind of other ETL task. It really helps for cleaning that data, and that's just one click again. So it's really powerful what you can do.
Data formats is just a pain. They're always such a nightmare.
They're always such a nightmare, and people store them differently. People have them differently. So it's quite a common one to come up, and the fact that you have a tool there to use it, it's really cool. So we also have some lookup tasks as well. So for example, my state column over here. So I have my US state code. But say if I know I have a data set in the background that has all my regions that are connected to these states, I can actually blend this data in. So I'll click on my data blend tool, and I'm going to find that data set that has all my regions. So I scroll down and visit unit regions with states. So I'm going to click this data set and bring it in. Hit add, and we can see the states are here. So we can see the states are highlighted in blue. So I can add this data set for my regions. I'll click this, and I don't have to commit this straight away. I can preview what it's going to look like. Say, okay, yeah, that contains all my regions. I can see west, I can see midwest, I have northeast, so I can add this in. So lookups are a pain. So if you're a standard Excel user, you know lookups can be dreadful to use. But this makes it so easy. That was just like 3 clicks, and I have my data in there. Real simple, really easy to use. So so it's quite cool what we can do. And so now that we actually have our data cleansed, so we've gone through all our processes, created our recipes over here. These are all stored automatically. I could send this to the IT guy, like Ciaran mentioned earlier on. We bring it to Studio, we productionize this, you know, this can be on sort. Say if you just want to export this here now, you just want to do some quick further analysis on it, you can export it. So we can do a local CSV, a local Excel file. And what's pretty cool, we can actually do a local Tableau file. So if you're using Tableau, you can just direct file into it, and it causes less headaches. But we'll just go to an Excel for now. So I can give this Excel a name. So I'm actually happy with that name for now. So I'll click export. So I suppose while we're just waiting for that to load there, just to let you know, what you're seeing today is the free version, and you can actually go in today and use this free version of Talend. So if you go onto Talend's website and you find the data preparation tool, we actually have a free version which you can use today. Within 10 minutes you can be set up and you can clean all your data. So it's really quite cool what you can use. So that's the link there, and we can provide a link out for it later on as well for any of you actually are interested in it. So let's go back to our data. I want to X out of here, and so now we can see our preparations out there. This has all our data in it. So we might want to add a folder maybe, we want to store this data. Maybe you're creating a data lake. So I'll just create a data lake. I'll click OK. And I can actually move this into my data lake, or maybe perhaps I just want to copy it into my data lake. So I can do loads of different things with it. So I'll just copy it, make a copy into the data lake. And what will normally happen here is your IT guy will actually have access to this data lake, and then he can go on and use this recipe later on in the studio version, and basically from the start get your data clean and prepared. So you're not repeating the steps, you're not kind of remaking everything again. You do it once, and when you're happy with it, you can send to your IT guy. That's going to be done each time you run an ETL task. So it's really quite cool what you can do.
And even the IT can govern if someone just wants to be able to use that recipe themselves, a different user. He can say, yeah, for this group of users, this is now published. But it's all done through an authority thing. It's not free for all. It's not that once you put it up there that it's then open to anybody. It's still through the administration that says actually to run that recipe on that data set, you have to have the right privilege, permission to privilege, that kind of thing. So that's very important with this. If you are going down the self-service route, that you are also still providing authentication, authorization, and governance, because you don't want to kind of Wild West kind of.
No, definitely not. No. So let's go back into our preparation and see, have a look at. So we can use this. So moving forward, if this data set actually gets updated as we go on, we can actually just keep applying this data preparation to it. So if you just want to quickly look at what your data is looking like now, we add the preparation to it, and we have all our steps here. Everything is saved. And what's kind of cool is, so say if I was the one that created this data preparation, and then Ciaran wants to come in, and Ciaran, what the bloody hell is Connor Dunne? Like, what the hell is going on? You can actually very easily see what's actually been done. So look, let's just take our last step example. Lookup done with data set. This is a new region with stage. Join has been set between state, and the column region has been added. So that's really, that's run seal. That was exactly what I said on the tin. It's quite easy what you can do. Well, that's kind of cool. Rather, if we realize, okay, we made a mistake somewhere, say, okay, I changed this to American Standard for my dates. I didn't actually want the American Standard, the months in front. So if I want to change this maybe to the English Standard, I can do that, and I can submit what that looks like. So I'll give us a preview. So I'll move across, and there we go. So we can see our dates. We've got the day, month, year value. That's really quite cool. So rather than actually, you don't have to drill back up towards all your data preparation. We can actually go right in the middle, change it. We can decide to delete it. We can decide to do nice things with it. So I've actually changed the dates there to an English Standard. So that's really cool. You can go back in and do all that. So, and I actually want to open up the customer marketing data. So let's just have a look at what our end product looks like. Okay, and we can see here all our preparation function has been applied to this data. So we can see here all my data masking's been done. I can see this is a date from the previous one, but yeah, so
your regions are now there, so you've inferred that data.
Exactly, yeah.
And there's no white spaces. There's caps on the the first name is all
all the title case. Yeah. So all our steps that we've done there have been applied to an Excel, ready to go, ready to do more, whatever you want. So it's really quite cool.
And then next month, when they come back to do their monthly report, the recipe is there. They can run the recipe, and away you go. All those rules are applied, and they have got the report and how they need it with no bad data.
Yeah. The idea is you do it once, and that's it. You move on. So that's really data preparation. So hope you got a good insight on what you do. And sure, like I said, we can use the free version today. So if you want to go in and start this your own data, by all means, go onto the Talend website and you can download the data prep for free. So I'll let you go back to Ciaran here. Yeah. He's going to take you through the rest of it.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Connor. So just very briefly, I think we're coming to the end, so overrunning just a little bit. We might have time for a few questions.
Sorry for talking too much, Ciaran.
I think that was me actually. I think I overran. So I went too far. Right. So just the final piece is the support for cloud. So Talend solutions have two releases, a kind of major release and a minor release. So it's summer and Christmas. So we're just after getting the summer release there in the last month. And one of the big things that has come with the summer release is now multi-cloud support. So Talend was always a market leader for supporting Amazon and Amazon Web Services. But with this summer release, we now support Cloudera, Snowflake, but definitely as well, Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud as well. So what we're also seeing in the industry is IT are now moving towards multi-cloud. So not just having a single cloud vendor, using the best of breed for each solution, which means you could have your email in Office 365 in the cloud, you could be using Salesforce for your CRM, and you could be using Amazon for storage. So being able to integrate all these different cloud platforms and integrate with on-premise systems, because you won't get away from all your on-premise, means then you can avoid lock-in, lower your costs, and have greater agility and actually disaster recovery as well. So with Amazon Web Services innovation, as you can see, we support S3, QS, Aurora, all the different Amazon formats, and Talend is a certified advanced big data partner with Amazon. With Azure, there's support now for Azure HD Insight, which is the cloud storage with Hadoop. You got Azure Storage, Data Lake, and also Cosmo DB. And with Google, we have Google BigQuery, DataProc, Google Storage, and PubSub. So with that BigQuery support, we've got faster analytics that you can run using the kind of Google Analytics tools. But the idea here is that with Talend Studio, we can build reusable cloud data pipelines going across both on-premise and multiple different cloud instances, not locking you into one platform. So finally, why would you choose Talend? Well, Talend, as we mentioned before, is native. So there's no Talend proprietary code. It generates that native Java, SQL, and Spark code. It's open. So Talend is committed to an open source and open standard, and there's no vendor lock-in on the solution. We're the only unified platform. So across DevOps, admin, services, everything is based on one unified platform. And it's got a predictable licensing model. It's based on subscription licensing. It's per developer, not CPU, kind of things like that. And there are no additional costs for adapters. So once you take the solution, you can use whatever data you want. So that's our webinar today. So Garrett, have we any questions?
Thanks, Ciaran. Thanks, Connor. Yeah, we've had a few questions pouring in. If anybody else has any questions, don't be afraid to ask. There's still time. So the first one is probably going to be for Connor. Can you add your own semantic types?
You can add your own semantic types, yeah. So I mentioned earlier on, we have a data dictionary there. So this data dictionary, we add in our data. So for example, let's take counties as an example. So we can add in a list of counties, for Dublin, we can add for Louth, we can add different counties, and basically those semantic types are added. So we have a new list to choose from the semantic types, and those semantic types, the list then drives your data quality. So we've seen a lot of cases where the counties come in, they're incorrect, or they go from county Louth or just Louth or something like that. So you can actually define how your data should look in your own enterprise. So,
or Irish names or English names.
Irish names for English names, exactly,
you can look up there. Or again, I think in your workflow, where you went from inferring the state, you can infer the province.
Exactly.
So you can have, 9 counties in that.
And that's also to add on that, actually, for the semantic types, what you see in there, Talend comes with their own list of semantic types, and you can actually edit them as well. So if you see a semantic type you like in there, you can actually add to it too.
Yeah. So again, if your business had an asset type or something, that these are all asset types that we use, you can define that and then have rules on that and masking rules.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
That's really good. Perfect. Lovely. Thanks. Next one. Question probably for you again, Connor. What platform does it run on?
So Talend actually runs on lots of different platforms. So with Windows, obviously, we've Mac, and we also have Linux as well. So they're the 3 main ones.
But again, it's the openness, really, isn't it?
It's the openness, really, and actually you can run it in the cloud using AWS as well. So that's another cool thing. So you no longer need to have your own server on site.
No. I think the integration platform is the service.
Exactly. Yeah.
Pretty term, yeah.
Thanks again, Connor. Next one, how many rows can I handle?
Well, what we looked at today was the free version of Talend. That actually only looks at 30,000 rows at a time. Now this only 30,000. That's all. But if you go into the subscription model, then so we actually have the Talend the paid service. Actually really only depends on the specs of your machine. So how much your machine can handle is really how much data Talend Big Data handles. So it's really quite powerful.
And I think that's, again, it's one of the powers of Talend, maybe compared to the commercial models for other products. There is no data tax. So the fact that you're running 10 million records or a trillion records, there's no additional cost. Some of the other systems do have an additional cost as you grow extra records.
Perfect, thanks. And our last one so far is, how do you see this fitting into local government? You, Ciaran.
Yeah, thanks. I think definitely in local government, over the years systems were developed. You know, you'd have a planning system, you'd have a road system or whatever, and they were all silo based. So there was a few reports done in the last couple of years that there was local government wasn't really taking advantage of their data, and they weren't taking advantage of the cost of getting a return on investment on the data that they've generated and used. So being able to have master data management, being able to have a single view of a customer, of an asset, being able to bring that information together can then help drive analytics in government, things like fraud detection, things like asset prevention, maintenance. Also as well, local governments are subject to GDPR, do need to have a certain amount of data governance protection, need to know where their data is, who has access to it. So there's a big remit for Talend in local government.
Thanks again. That's all the questions. Anybody else have any questions? They can pop them in there quick, or we'll wrap it up. No, that seems to be everything for everybody. Thanks again for joining the webinar. I'll forward on the webinar recording plus the links that Connor showed, so you can download Talend Data Prep yourself and have a little play around with the organisation. As always, we're always available here at IMGS. You can always jump onto our website and you can contact us, or most people would have my email, or Ciaran's or Connor's. So don't be afraid to pop us an email if you have any questions, if you're too shy to ask. And yeah, look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.